Smarterfan. Smarterfan. Yeah. Smarterfan.
Hey everybody, welcome to another segment of Smarter Fan Podcast, where we bring you behind the veil of sports, business, and life. I'm Joe, and this is Barry. How you doing, Barry?
I'm doing good. It's nice and cool. It's not hot. I'm feeling good right now. Feeling like a little barbecue right now. Feeling like doing a little barbecuing. But I'm good, my friend. All's well with you?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So I know you had this on the back burner, so we're gonna bring it to the forefront. So you're gonna bring back Martez, are you not?
Absolutely. This is our third part of our celebration of our 50th episode, and so we're very fortunate to get Mr. Martez Brayboy, NFL agent, AFL agent, XFL agent. He's got players in every league, and so we're going to do the third part tonight, and we're excited to have him. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How about you, gentlemen, tonight? How's everybody doing?
We're doing all right.
We're doing all right. We're doing all right. Yeah. So I'm biting at the bit, eager to talk to you. Be here all day. So I'm gonna back up a little bit and let Joe go ahead with his questions as we complete this third part. We just want to say again, thank you for taking the time. We know it's a busy time. Camps are going on. Players are moving around. So we really, really appreciate your time and taking us behind the veil, if you will, about what is really what it is to be a professional athlete and an agent and balancing all these moving parts.
Most definitely appreciate the opportunity.
All right. So what is the status of the AFL at this point?
That's funny that you asked that situation about the AFL. It's a daily thing where I'm learning things every single day between different different organizational standpoints when it comes to the head person, but also when it comes to the individual teams, because I have a player that's playing for the Washington Wolfpack currently, and he's a for the team, so he has a very imperative role. But it's so many situations where some of the teams do not have they don't have funding because they're dependent on the AFL. The AFL hasn't supplied them the funding. If you go on IG, some of the social media sites, you see from like different examples from like the Iowa Rampage, where I had two players that actually won that team, and that team got dismantled for the season. And the owner came and said, "Hey, this is the reason why this situation has happened." And going from there, you had a team. I think it was not mistaken. It was Rapid City Marshals, a situation where they were not able to play their game accordingly. They were not, but a lot of the AFL teams are trying to help each other out through this whole situation because, of course, they want to play. You have organizations that want to play. They want to, start seasons up. They want to start this organization to bring the sports to their areas, because that brings in money, it brings in economy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
To work. But the AFL right now at this moment, it seems like some of the teams are dependent. To my understanding, where my player is currently at the Washington Wolfpack, it is not a dependent team. I've heard some of the teams have not been paid yet, but have played. Some of the players have played games and not paid. And like I'm saying, once again, I'm going by a lot of situations where I've heard things. So I can't specify and say this has happened. I just know the situation with my player. He has been paid. Don't too in depth with that part because there has been some misunderstandings with his pay. And we actually had a conversation today where they're trying to restructure his contract. And not only are they trying to restructure his contract, they're trying to give him a reduce of pay from the original contract. So I do not know if that's the reason because of the situations in the AFL and it's big changes where they don't have a certain amount of funding as planned. I have no idea. But I know with the restructure of his contract, we're trying to see what that is going to be. He gave me kind of like a little I guess you could say he gave me a little brief of it, but we have not had a contract in hand where me and him be able to analyze it and go from there and say, hey, this is something that is, you should sign, maybe go forward with, or go to, part ways with that team. But when it comes to the AFL, a lot of people did not have faith in the AFL when it came up to this season. I was optimistic because I know, of course, everybody should have their chance, but also it has employed some of my athletes. So of course, I want to be optimistic, but once again, it's up in the air. Every day is something. So,
yeah. Well, that brought me to my next question. Like, what is the average salary of an arena football player?
In the AFL, my guys who have been signed, they have signed contracts where it was at least the minimum $1,000 a game. So I would say comparative to the IFL, comparative to other leagues, not the XFL, not the USFL before they joined to make the UFL.
Right.
But you talking about the IFL, you talking about the NAL, those leagues, it's good pay compared to those leagues, because you're making with those leagues, you're possibly making $225, $250, depending if you're a veteran or not. But also it depends on whatever could be negotiated. If you're a vet, you have whatever your position is. Of course, quarterback, you're going to make more money. But then once again, I can't guarantee that either, because I don't have any quarterbacks on my roster that actually have had that experience. But of course, it's usually the quarterback is going to make the highest pay of the team. But in those leagues, you're talking about 200 to 225, 250, even less than that, depending on the athlete themselves, in those leagues. So when the chance came for the AFL and you're talking about $1,000, whoa, we're talking about 3 times more per game. And I was talking to my athlete about that earlier. It's kind of like with them reducing his pay, some of the brief that he gave me is still more than him playing in the IFL or the NAL. So it's like, what are your options? Do I really want to leave and go to another league that's going to pay me less anyway? Or do I stay where I'm at? Unfortunately, stay where I'm at, but look at it from a different view of this is only temporary. Let's go ahead and get the film that we need to get so we can get to the next level. And that next level could be NFL, overseas, where you can get more pay. And you could be more, be more comfortable at your position where you're at with that team.
Okay. Well, how many leagues are there in the arena football?
There are a lot of leagues I don't even know about. I find out sometimes if it's even worth it or not. My guys, I have shopped them in the AFL, IFL, NAL, AIF. It was AIFA. But then this season, now we have the AIF, where you have teams like, what team? You have a team, Amarillo. These different teams that had teams before. They had, different organizations that may have been an arena team, and now they're coming to different leagues and they're moving around. You have another league. I have a player that's in camp right now, and the league is... honestly, it's 3 initials also, and I have to learn more about it because he hit me out the blue and he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to this team." I can tell you the team. The team is Duluth Monsters, and to my understanding, they don't even play. It's a 6-man game. So some of the leagues are even changing the play. Where you talking about 6 men that's on the field against each other, 6-man defense, 6-man offense. So that's the league he is currently in camp at. And then you have also, I think it's another league where they don't have but so many teams. They have a New Jersey team, but it's so many leagues. But the main leagues that are going to give you a little bit more pay than comparative to some of the leagues I may not know about are the IFLs, the NAs, those type of leagues. But it's so many leagues that are popping up every day. So it's hard to keep up sometimes.
Well, that was going to be my next question. How many players line up on each side of the ball in a game? Like, is it 11 on 11? It's 7 on 7?
I mean, you still have your 11 on 11. It depends on, like you said, it depends on the leagues. Different leagues have different rules. Just like CFL has there are a couple different rules when it comes to the size of the field compared to NFL. So a lot of these arena leagues is of course it's about offense. People want to see people score. Nobody wants to see defense at the end of the day. They want to see offense. They want to see energy. They want to see high score and they want to see fast guys. That's what they want to see. So I guess you could say when it comes to arena and the field size and the current team where my player at camp at, it would kind of make sense. You put 6 people on the field. Now you stretching out the field a little bit because you don't have as many people. Now we can make have a high octane type of game. And he's a wide receiver. He's a 6'6" wide receiver. So now you open the scope for him where you can say, hey, let's do a spread offense with 6 guys. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different type of spectrum. But realistically, a lot of my guys are actually trying to get out of the arena just because of the difference. They want to get outdoor. You know, they want to get back to the gridiron, the real game of football.
Yeah. Okay. So now, where can you watch these games?
With the IFL, I watch my guys on YouTube. The ones that have been previously signed in the IFL. Like I had one guy, he was signed before he was injured. Unfortunately, he's injured at the moment. With the Green Bay Blizzards. I had another athlete that was signed with the Iowa Barnstormers. That he went to He went to San Antonio Wranglers, and then had an opportunity to go to Tucson Sugar. I mean, it's so many teams. I'll be trying to memorize. It was in Tucson, a certain amount of time. So you can always watch the IFL games on YouTube. Some of the other games, like the AFL, they were supposed to initially have a contract with the NFL Network, but once again, my understanding, not knowing what's really happening, just seeing what I'm seeing, you know, between social media and different news outlets, that got pulled for whatever reason, dealing with management and ownership of the AFL league itself.
Oh, okay. So Barry, you wanted to look at the business side.
Yeah, I when I think about the business side, I'm always interested and want to know how these athletes are being paid. You know, I had some friends in the NFL. They're like, Barry, there's 18 games in a season. If I'm making $50 million that year, it's broken up into 18 checks. Is that the way it works in the other leagues as well? Is per game, this game checks, and
yes, sir.
That's how it works.
Yes, sir. So, perfect example. My current athlete that plays in the AFL for Washington Wolfpack, he gets paid per game. They're supposed to get paid every Friday. Sometimes it overlaps, and it may be a couple days past that point. So he'll play his game maybe Saturday and get paid the following Friday. So per game. Not to get too specific with the situations. Like I said, it's a lot of miscommunications to my understanding between me and him talking, because that $1,000, let's put it like this. Majority of time you're an arena player, you are a 1099 player. You're an independent contractor, which means you're not paying taxes. All right. You're not paying taxes. But this situation with the AFL, my client has been told that taxes are taken out. But that is not true, because Washington is not a state that has personal income. They don't take incomes. You pay your gross income. That's the reason he didn't pay a 1099, receive a 1099. He only got a W-4. And getting specific, you know, I'm going to another whole subject, but this is a conversation me and him had today. A realistic conversation, because if contractually we send $1,000 and my client is receiving $700, what is that $300 going toward if he's not paying tax? Okay. Is it going toward housing? Is it going toward the food that he's eating? If it is, let us understand that. Let my client fully understand when he signs his contract, he's not getting $1,000. It doesn't say in the contract that he has to pay for his housing. So these are things that the conversation me and him had today was that as a football player, they don't expect you to ask these questions.
Nope.
Of course, his agent being his representative, I'm going to get him thinking about these certain things. He's saying, "Oh, I got taxed. Why would you get taxed $300 for $1,000?" So, hypothetically, I did a calculation today for if he was to get taxed in Washington, which he would not. he will only pay $167, which means that's way less than the $300 that he got charged for the $1,000. So where's this
Yeah.
going to? So when you ask these certain questions, they do not expect these football players to ask these types of questions. They don't expect athletes to think like that. So, you know, I'm the type of person that is my whole objective. And I told him today, I'm always going to have your best interest as your agent. So I get the athlete thinking what they're telling you. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That's the money wise. He's supposed to receive $1,000 straight across the board. 1099 player independently. He's supposed to have $1,000 in his hand, and he's supposed to pay the government at the end of the year. Whatever that gross is. So it's supposed to be paid weekly. So if they have 12 games, how much is he supposed to make? $12,000. So once again, the question you asked the AFL, what is happening in the AFL?
Yeah.
Generally, a lot of things are happening with teams that are not going to make it past the middle of the season. Some are not going to make it past the end of the season. So it's just up in the air. Every day is something new.
Wow, that leads me to, so how does that work with the insurance? Are the players have any insurance coverage? Because I was listening to Cam Newton and Shannon Sharp.
Yeah.
And in the NFL, and you know, Shannon was talking about, you know, how, you know, he handled his money a certain way. So in the NFL, after 5 years of playing, your medical coverage is gone. And then Gilbert Arenas from the NBA was like, what? We have health coverage until we die. And I'm like, what is the NFLPA doing? In the most violent game, these guys should be covered for all. You know what I'm saying? Am I wrong?
Of course. Of course, that makes the most sense. But then it makes the most sense, too, also, why you're not going to be insured. Because that's money. You're playing a sport where it's high contact. This is a train wreck every single play. All right. So I'm putting insurance on these hundreds of players. That's a lot of money I got to pay. I'm trying to pay the minimum. Okay. So these players that I have in these different leagues, when they sign a contract, they know that they have workers' comp if they were to be injured while they're playing. Like I said, I have a player right now that's playing in the IFL. Well, he was injured in the IFL, shoulder injury, so he's out for the season. Workers' comp is going to pay him. Luckily, I didn't have to get involved. My attorney didn't get involved. You have different organizations that take care of their players. They may not make the $1,000 like the AFL, but these IFL teams, I will vouch. I can't say I vouch, but I would commend these IFL teams, because you get injured, they will take care of you. He gets compensation for the state that he stays in, which is Wisconsin, but he's also getting the best sports medicine, possibly physical therapy to get him prepared if he comes back there or he goes to another team. So not only are they paying him, continuously paying him, and he has but they're they're catering to their injury. So it's a funny situation. I can't say how long the physical therapy is going to go for, or if he's going to have to continue, but at least we're getting somewhere where they're looking out for him to a certain extent, because at the end of the day, you have some teams, you get injured. I have a player that got injured, and I asked him, and I had to get an understanding, were you injured on the job? Were you injured there on the team? And he was like, I wasn't injured there. So with that understanding, of course, they can't do anything for him. But it's a situation where you could be just a liability, and they're like, well, we can't do anything for you. But for most of my players, when they sign a contract for an arena team, they have at least workers' comp, and they have already different situations where it comes to sports medicine, where they can get the facilities, get the treatment that they need when it comes to therapy. But then it's always a situation where we have to be optimistic if this team is fully going to fulfill this obligation, or they're going to give you the runaround. So,
man, that leads me to the next piece, which is what is the process? You have a player, they did well in the IFL, blah, blah, blah. Does the and Atlanta reaches out to you and says, "Hey, we'd like to talk to you about this player and maybe bring him in for a tryout or sign him," or how does that work, Agent Brayboy?
I mean, these types of situations, you could say any team. Atlanta Falcons, you could say an NAL team, an AFL team, an overseas team. A lot of times they won't even reach out to me because they don't know I exist. They'll reach out to the player because it's so technology. When it comes to social media, when it comes to all these different avenues where they see the film or they learn of the player, they reach straight out to the player. They go to the Facebook, they go to the IG. It's most of the times where my players are coming to me and say, "Hey, can you have this conversation with this team or this owner or this coach on my behalf?" Because they get in contact with them.
Wow.
When it comes to different situations, once because I'm still in the process of getting my NFL certification and stuff like that, which I would do all of the necessary things this summer. But when the time comes and they say, "Hey, you okay to reach out to Atlanta Falcons, reach out to Seattle Seahawks," I can reach out to that scout and say, "Hey, I have a guy that's in the IFL. I have a substantial amount of film when it comes to him. I see that you're, of course, I'm gonna do my research and see what they're looking for. I'm not just going to shop them out when it has 50 defensive backs, 50 defensive. I'm gonna see what's your need. What is that need? How can we get this player in this camp? How can we get him looked at? And if we get him on the practice squad, hey, we can go from there and we just keep leveling up. But the basic thing that's been happening with my guys is they get reached out by a lot of coaches, organizations, just on their behalf, because not only am I displaying tape, I make film for them, I put it out, I display it, I put it on, market when it comes to social media, but they have their own platforms too. And they also, everybody talks. These athletes, you'll be very surprised if I was in their situation when I was coming out, where I had a whole bunch of teammates and we all had this marketing. It's so many marketing strategies that they don't even know they're utilizing by just networking, knowing this player. This player tells my player, "Hey, man, this coach is looking for a defensive back." Now he reaches out, or the coach reaches out to him, and now we're having a conversation about this athlete that could have a signing or situation that happens. So yeah, I'm telling you, social media, technology, the marketing that happens just naturally, conversation and networking and knowing people, it's amazing, because sometimes you don't have to do anything as an agent, but just have that conversation later.
Really?
So many ways that everything happens.
Wow.
Man, this is amazing. This is so amazing. So I mean, we're running out of time, but I'm gonna try to sneak this one in under the wire, Joe. I'm gonna try to sneak it in. I had a conversation with a very high up administrator at a major Power 5 school.
Okay.
And the conversation was about, I'm just using this young man as an example. And I call him Doc. I said, "Doc, am I seeing the situation with Carmani correctly?" He says, "Okay, what are you seeing?" "I'm seeing that what Colorado really is building out there is a pathway to the NFL. With the coaching, with the mindset, with everything that's being installed. If you're serious about going to the next level, I would go to Colorado, because I don't know where you're going to find a head coach like Coach Prime, who's the real deal.
Most definitely.
And the other people, all the other Hall of Famers that are there, the former head coaches in the NFL, the DC. So literally, you're in a pro system." And he said, "Yep, you're seeing correctly."
Oh yeah.
And he says, then I said, "Now, what I don't think a lot of these kids are understanding, their parents don't understand, is that the way the money's working from the ownership, even in the NBA, is that there's no more patience of development. You need to the more you can come in young and ready to play, the better your chances."
Most definitely.
And he said, "Without a doubt, Barry." And the sad thing is with Cormani, because I said, "Isn't it interesting that no one has really picked him up?" And I said, I asked the trustee, and I said, "Is it because they're all saying," and this is what these kids don't understand, these parents don't understand, when he was being recruited by Miami and dipped, and the other school and dipped, and then signed with Colorado and stayed there and dipped. It didn't look like he was getting it done in the classroom or the playing field. And all those people's paychecks and lifestyle were dependent on him coming.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, I think they're avoiding him because no one wants to take the risk anymore. And he says, absolutely right.
Well, he's in Florida. He's in Florida now, to my understanding. I follow him.
Oh, okay.
He's in Florida. So, he's back home, so somebody's going to take a chance on him. You can always count on that. Somebody's going to take a chance on anyone, I think, in these days, because as much as we want to, and I've been a coach at the high school level, as much as it's a totally different generation. It's not like when we came through. Mm-hmm. Coaches feel like they have to take players now because it's a different dynamic when it comes to being an athlete. They let a lot of athletes get away with a lot of things that my coaches would not let me do because they would keep me accountable. Mm-hmm. It goes into adulthood also. So not only is Coach Prime, like I said, one of my favorite football players ever, my mentor, that he doesn't even know he's my mentor, but he is not only making NFL players by putting everybody in position, but he's making the best versions of men. You get what I'm saying? Because if they don't go to the next level, at least they be the type of player. They will be the type of player that's going to be a benefit to society itself because they're learning to be accountable. They're learning how to be responsible. They're learning how to be men. And that's the biggest thing that can get you to the next level because you understand it's a process. When you fully understand that my process is not the same as yours and it goes across the board, you understand like, okay, I may not make it now. I may not be a first rounder, but I'm going to keep pushing because guess what? I got a coaching staff that's around me that believe in me as much as I believe in myself. So he's building something you're never going to probably see again. You get what I'm saying? So we're witnessing something like a LeBron James, like a Michael Jordan that everybody is putting a downfall on because it's Coach Prime, because it's him. It's Deion Sanders, number 21. Yeah. It's prime time. So, but if you sit back and relax and you look at it, I say in 5 years, you're going to notice something. You're going to be like, dang, I witnessed something I've never seen before. You know what I'm saying? So it's a great time to be alive.
Great time.
Yes,
great time.
Yes,
man, these interviews just been going like this. NFL agent, we up and up and up. And
I know, right? I know,
right? Oh my
right?
goodness, man! I gotta wrap up. We gotta wrap up. But
yes, sir.
I just gotta say, pulling you off. NFL agent gave me like 3 points. Joe has been beating me like 100 to nothing. I at least got 3 points on him this time by bringing you on, because he was like, what you gonna do? It's our 50th episode. What are you gonna do? I said, I'm cooking. Calm down.
Yes, he was.
So I really I'm so grateful, and we're gonna have you back.
Oh yeah,
you got so many gems. We haven't even scratched the surface. And so, as we say here on Smarterfan Podcast, stay in the game, and we'll see you next week. And then thank you again, Agent Brayboy and Joe.
Yes,
I got 3 points this time, buddy. I got 3 points.
All right.
For that time.
Have a good one. Take care.
All right. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Smarterfan.